All right, so that's testosterone. That's anabolic androgenic steroids. They're going to make your muscles bigger because you're going to increase synthesis and decrease degradation. They're going to make your tendons smaller and weaker, and so that's going to lead to really big problems because your big muscle pulling on a very small, fragile tendon, you're going to get a lot of injuries associated with that. You're also going to get more red blood cells, which is really important if you're an endurance athlete. And it's got that androgenic component, which works both in the brain and in various other tissues, including your facial hair, your Adam's apple, your genitals. All of these things are going to change. So now we're going to switch over to our formal governor's favorite ergogenic aid, and that's growth hormone. So growth hormone is the only thing that the governor actually is admitted to having taken during his career. You can see incredible muscle mass, we have to say. One of the greatest showmen as far as bodybuilders have ever been. All right, so what does growth hormone do, and how well does it work? Well, it works surprisingly poorly. What you can see here is this is a study by Kevin Ergogenics3, and what he's done here is he's looked to see what the effect of resistance exercise is in control individuals or in individuals who are taking growth hormone. And what you can see is they both increase strength on resistance exercise, but the growth hormone treatment, 12 weeks of growth hormone, no effect on strength. There's absolutely no effect on strength. There's no effect on muscle mass, so that it's not increasing muscle mass, so it's not increasing strength. So that's a kind of surprising one. So most people think that growth hormone is going to drive this really big increase in strength, but it doesn't drive an increase in strength. The second thing is, do we really need to take growth hormone? Because when I inject growth hormone into my body, it's going to last about maybe up to 3 hours in my body. That's going to increase IGF-1, it's going to do all these things, but it's not going to last very long. Same thing that happens physiologically. But all I have to do if I want to increase growth hormone is I just have to do some heavy legs and force repetitions. So this is how much growth hormone is circulating in your body before you do any weightlifting. And then following 2, 4, 6, and 8 sets of either strength training or strength training with forced repetitions, which means that you're doing a lot of eccentric load where you're getting a lot of extra force because you're 1.8 times stronger. So if you're doing heavy leg work, you're actually going to really jack up your growth hormone levels. This is a 600-fold change. So that's 600 times higher than it was at control. There's nothing you can do whether it's injected. The other time we get growth hormone is when we sleep in very deep delta sleep. You're not going to get this kind of increase in growth hormone. But you can already see that it's decreasing rather quickly. Just like the injectables, growth hormone is very unstable. So within a few hours, the growth hormone is back down to normal levels. But you don't need it from the injection because that's one of the reasons that the Ergogenics3 study didn't see a difference. When you do resistance exercise, you're getting growth hormone anyways. So why is it that people inject it? Well, the reason that people inject it is because look what happens to the collagen. So this is collagen from growth hormone deficient. Growth hormone deficiency causes dwarfism. So if you don't have enough growth hormone, you can't increase collagen synthesis the way that you should. And since collagen synthesis is what's causing your bones to grow, you actually are growth hormone deficient and you're very small stature. One very famous athlete who was allowed to take growth hormone during development because he was so incredibly small is a man by the name of Lionel Messi. So Lionel Messi, actually, he's still really tiny, but he was on growth hormone treatment because he would have been even smaller. And when he was at Barcelona, they realized that he was growth hormone deficient. They supplemented him with growth hormone and they got him up to the height that he is today. But if you take the opposite of a growth hormone deficient individual, so this is going to be a dwarf, acromegalics have excess growth hormone. And so this results in a huge increase in collagen mRNA and collagen protein. And if you have acromegaly since you're young, because you have either a growth hormone secreting tumor or some other thing, the world's tallest man was an acromegaly. He was about 8 feet tall. A lot of that was down to the fact that he had this very large secretion of growth hormone. So what do you look like when you have acromegaly? Well, you look like this gentleman. This is Andre the Giant. If you if you didn't watch professional wrestling back in its heyday, you might have seen him in The Princess Bride as the giant. He does qualify as a giant. He was 7'4", weighed 560 pounds. He's acromegalic. You can see that he's acromegalic here. Look at his brow. Look at his jowls here, as well as his jaw. The reason that, yes, he's 7'4", he had growth hormone when he was growing, but once he stopped growing, if you continue to have growth hormone, these bones above in our brow, in our jowls, and in our jaw, they continue to grow. Our long bones don't continue to grow, but those bones do. So you can often see people who are taking growth hormone because they have really prominent brow and they have really prominent cheekbones and they have a really prominent jaw. How big is this guy? Just to give you some sense, that is a full-size beer can in his hand. Yeah, he's monstrous. He was monstrous. Again, what happens with growth hormone deficient or acromegalics is usually they die very young of cardiovascular disease because the growth hormone actually causes an increase in collagen that's going to lead to a huge increase in blood pressure because your blood vessels are supposed to be really, really compliant. And when you've got a lot of collagen, they become very stiff. So your blood pressure goes up and a lot of them die of heart disease. So do you really need anabolic steroids, growth hormone, all of these things? Not at all. All right, so this is a study that was done by Dan West. Basically what he did is he trained one leg by itself. He trained one arm by itself. He trained the other arm together with the legs. And when he trained the legs, he got a 2-fold increase in testosterone. He got a 2-fold increase in IGF-1. He got a 10-fold increase in growth hormone. So all of these things were way, way high. All right, so all of these anabolic hormones are through the roof. So the arm that you did the resistance exercise with all of those hormones, it's going to grow a lot bigger than the other arm, right? Wrong. The lower, if anything, the low hormone state had a bigger effect on muscle mass, and basically it just shows us that the hormones that you have circulating in the body are not necessary for resistance exercise induced muscle growth. What growth hormone is used for by athletes is to increase collagen synthesis so that their tendons and connective tissues can regenerate faster and so they can train at a higher level more frequently. So yes, you probably are all sitting there going, wow, testosterone increases muscle mass, but it makes a small tendon. Growth hormone doesn't really affect muscle mass, but it makes the tendon bigger and stronger. So why not just combine the two? Very good. You hit it on the nose. That's what a lot of people do. They cycle through growth hormone and testosterone. So they'll do the testosterone to get bigger. They'll do the growth hormone to get more robust, more collagen synthesis so that they can support that bigger muscle mass. And that's a lot of people are doing those types of periodized or combined therapies to increase the anabolic and ergogenic effects of the drugs.